welcome back to Sunday School this morning, boys and girls. And today we're going to hear a little bit more about that story of King Herod and the wise men. Remember, the wise men had traveled from a faraway country following the star that had led them to find baby Jesus. And they had worshiped him and brought him expensive gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And King Herod had told the wise men to come back to Jerusalem and let him know where the baby was so that he could supposedly go and worship the baby also. But King Herod didn't really want to go worship Jesus. He had another plan in mind. And so the wise men got a special message from God. It tells us in Matthew chapter 2, verse 12, you can get your Bibles and look with us. In verse 12, God warned them in a dream not to go back to Herod. So they returned to their country on a different road. They took the long way around to avoid going back to Herod because God had warned them of that. Meanwhile, another angel had given a special message to Joseph. And Joseph had heard that angel say in another dream, get up and take baby Jesus and take his mother Mary and go to Egypt, escape from Herod into Egypt until I tell you it's safe. Because Herod wants to search for the child and kill him. So Joseph got Mary and got the baby Jesus and packed up as much stuff as they could pack up very quickly. And they slipped out and snuck away in the night and made it safely to Egypt, where Jesus could be safe. But back in Jerusalem, King Herod is now very furious because he has realized that the wise men are not coming back to tell him where Jesus is. He said, how dare they not report back to me as I told them to? And so he was very, very angry and probably thought to himself, I know that king was born in Bethlehem, so I know what I'll do. I'll show them all who is the boss around here. So he called his soldiers together and told them to get ready. And it tells us in Matthew chapter 2, verse 16, what Herod's plan was. It says, Herod realized that the wise men had tricked him, so he became very angry. He gave orders about Bethlehem and the area around it. He ordered all the boys 2 years old and under to be killed. This agreed with the time when the wise men had seen the star. So remember, Herod is not a very nice man, not a very good king. And so he ordered this terrible thing to be done. But God had a plan to protect baby Jesus, and he had told Joseph and Mary to get Jesus out of there and get Jesus to Egypt so he was safe. And then in Matthew chapter 2, verses 19, it tells us what happens next. After King Herod died, Joseph had a dream while they were in Egypt. In the dream, the angel of the Lord appeared and said, get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel. The people who were trying to kill the child are dead. So Joseph got up and took the child and his mother Mary and went back to Israel. But they didn't go back to Bethlehem, and they didn't even go back to Jerusalem. They went all the way back to Nazareth this time. This is the town where Mary and Joseph were originally from before they had to go to Bethlehem for that census when all the people had to register for the census. So now they went back to where their family was from, where they probably had cousins and uncles and aunts that Jesus could grow up with. And they could celebrate how Jesus would grow up and fulfill God's plan to save all of us, to save the world. And then it tells us in Luke, so skipping over to Luke chapter 2, there's only really one verse in the Bible that tells us about Jesus' childhood. And this is it, Luke chapter 2, verse 40. It says, the child grew and became strong. He was very wise. He was blessed by God's grace. So Jesus grew up then after this time where he had been born and God had protected him from King Herod. And now he's growing up in Nazareth and getting ready to do what God had sent him to earth to do. Now in this story, Joseph and the wise men and even King Herod all had to make choices about how they were going to live their life. And they made some very different choices, and some of them made some very bad choices. And especially now that it's kind of in the new year, and especially this year where a lot of people are probably really happy to see 2020 is gone, and they're hoping that 2021 is going to be a much better year. But this is a good time to think about our most important choice that we can make, the choice to serve God and follow Jesus and obey him. So remember, God offers his salvation to everyone, but we have to make that decision to accept his offer, accept his love and salvation, and we can make that choice every day, and I hope you will make that choice also. All right, thank you for listening this morning, and I'll see you again next week.